Greetings, listeners. Thank you all for coming. I am your host and narrator, Beatlesfanize. Tonight, we continue the story about a strange human sounds coming from the woods. Our protagonist has reached out to other people, seeing if they might have an answer to this disturbing human noises coming from the forest near his home. So turn out the lights, close the drapes, sit back, and listen to If You Ever Hear Voices or Crying Coming from the Woods, Never Follow Them, Part 2, by Dark and Creepy. Since the last time I uploaded the first part of the story, I have gotten a few comments and replies of people telling me the noises could be caused by, and the top two were SCP-939, with its nickname being With Many Voices. And for those of you who don't know what an SCP is, it's a supposed thing that needs to be secured, then contained, and lastly, protected. Thus, the nickname of SCP, because they are highly dangerous. The other one was that skinwalkers are also able to imitate human voices and trick people by luring them with a loved one's voice. However, it is said that only extremely skilled skinwalkers are able to do this. That means it is very rare to come across this trait in them. And so, most encounters just describe seeing them, but never actually hear loved ones' voices coming from it. I would like to thank all of you for your concerns and interest in what I have to say, but I must warn you ahead of time, do not think about this thing for an extended period of time, or else it will drive you mad. To actually write this all out for you, I have to take about 30-minute breaks every 20 minutes. So I'm able to write. If I try to push past those 20 minutes, then random images flash through my head to myself, dying in gruesome ways. So I beg of you that when you finish reading this, please go listen to music or watch your favorite TV show. But whatever you do, do not keep thinking about it. After writing this part, I found random scratches in the back of my house and have heard eerie knocking on my window during the night. I never go investigate, but just rather try to sleep through them. However, it's worth the risk of that thing coming to get me because the local government has tried to cover it up. But I think everyone should be warned not to follow those sounds. Anyway, I'm going to tell you of a story that I first heard when I came to town from one of the families here, who I'll call the Jeffreys. So one evening, they were having a barbecue in their backyard, and there were about 6 of them all together. They had 2 children, with their younger being only a year old, while the other one was around 5. It was later in the evening when the 5-year-old went looking for cool-shaped rocks, as in the words of the boy. So while he's doing this, the 5-year-old's mother is keeping an eye on him. but the year-old baby begins to cry, who is being held by the father-in-law. So she quickly rushes over to help her baby and forgets about the boy, who is now ever so slowly wandering away. That's when they hear the voices whisper from the woods, calling out to the boy, saying something similar to this in a child's voice. "Johnny, come play with me. I have plenty of cool rocks for you over here." The boy's father jumped up as he heard this faint whisper and immediately screams for his son to come back. That thing copies the father's voice, yelling the exact same phrase. "Johnny, come back. Don't follow the voice." At this point, everyone is freaking out, looking for the boy, but staying relatively close together so no one would end up missing. They heard crying, but no one knew what to do because they knew the rule of never following it. But their child was now lost and had no other choice. So the father of the boy runs inside and comes back out with a 12-gauge shotgun. So they follow the cries behind him as they edge closer to the woods, calling for the boy. As they get closer, they come upon a tree where it seems the crying is coming from. The father takes the lead and jumps to the other side to find his son huddled up, grabbing the tree for dear life. Johnny opened his trembling mouth, muttering, "Dad, there's something over there calling for me. I can still see it." The father swiftly turned his head to where the son was looking, but saw nothing out of place. "Here, son, let's take you back to the house. You'll be safe," his father said as he handed the shotgun to his own father and picked up his son. "Dad, it's following us," Johnny said as he squeezed his father's arms tightly. "Don't look at it. Just tell me about your favorite food," the father replied in a worried but loving manner. "It looks like Mommy," Johnny stated quickly, and this sent shivers down his father's spine, and everyone heard what he was saying. But every time they looked back to see it, nothing was there. They all went inside after that, and haven't had a barbecue outside since. They were also the few ones to actually raise children here due to how dangerous it is to have them wandering about. Their children, even they were born out here in the country, have been stuck in their houses for nearly their entire lives. It's sad, but I understand why they must take that precaution, because kids are so innocent and trusting. So when a voice that sounds like their mother or a friend is calling for them, they will most likely listen to it and follow it. Nearly the same thing happened with my sister, who has one child, when she came to visit us. She didn't believe me at first when I told her about the voices and the crying that resonate in the woods. That also meant that she was letting her 7-year-old son run around everywhere without watching him. She was not used to having to constantly keep an eye on him, and so he nearly ran off after the voice of another little boy who kept calling him to play. Her son came indoors and asked for permission, and in his own words said, "Can I play with the boy that lives in the woods?" As soon as my sister heard this, her eyes grew wide as she realized what I was saying was right. She left that same night. I never invite my family to come to my house anymore, because when I do, that thing will mimic their voices afterwards. It only can mimic the voices of people it has heard. So after my sister left my house, it kept beckoning me in her voice to come help her find her way out of the woods. And like always, I ignore it. But this might backfire in the future if my sister ever did need my help, because I would instinctively ignore it. Well, that is all I can write about it for now. But if anyone is able to exactly explain to me what this goddamn thing is, then I will gladly accept it. That's why I'm telling you as many traits of it as I can. But I must stop writing now because the images of me dying are once again popping into my head. Till we meet again, stay safe out there, everyone. Yes, it seems that things are getting worse for our protagonist and his family, and we still do not have a clear picture of what this thing is. I think if I were in our hero's shoes, I would move far away and never look back. I want to thank all of you again for being here tonight. If you like what you hear, please hit that like button, subscribe, and click the bell notification for upcoming stories. And stay tuned for If You Hear Someone Crying in the Woods, Turn Around and Go Directly Home, Part 3. Until next time, pleasant dreams.